Welcome to Crestview Community TV's Court TV. I'm Ryan Hardy, your Crestview Community TV legal analyst, and today we're watching a miscellaneous court date / VOP court date. You're going to see, by VOP we mean violation of probation, and you're going to see a lot of people this morning who are, a lot of them are going to be incarcerated because they violated their probation. When you violate your probation, you're not entitled to a bond. Doesn't mean you can't get one, it means it's harder to get one. On a new law violation, most people are entitled to a bond, absent some major circumstances. When you violate that probation, though, you're not entitled to a bond, but you can get one. But that leads this court date to having a lot more inmates. Now, when you're called to the podium, a couple things you can do. You can enter a plea to your VOP and say, yes, I did it, I violated my probation, and you can get sentenced. You can ask for a continuance. Let's set this down the road, maybe try to work out some details, maybe try to work out a deal. Or you can ask for a contested VOP hearing, which will be set at a later date in one of the afternoons of this miscellaneous date. Now, VOP hearings are very hard to win. It's a different standard of proof. We don't see a lot of them because it's rather easy for the state to prove if you violated your probation or not. So you're not going to see a lot of contested VOP hearings. Now, in addition to the violations of probation in the mornings, you're going to see some other smaller, shorter hearings, things like bond hearings, or things that don't take a lot of time, normally 15 minutes or less on these morning hearings. Anything longer than that is going to be set to the afternoon.
Windgate's going to come to the lectern. Do you want to start a video, Ms. Cashwell, or are you just going to do the phone?
Oh, I'll turn, okay, there we go.
Good.
There, I turned on my video. I'm in the courthouse in Santa Rosa because I've got court here, so I didn't want to bother you with that.
Okay. They're bringing your client to the lectern. And this is State versus Windgate, 23 CF 2011.
Ken, we can hear. How much time does he have left?
Good morning, Mr. Windgate.
Good morning.
Your attorney, Ms. Cashwell, is on Zoom, okay?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Cashwell?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you so much for the time. I went back to try and track what had happened and what caused the issue, and apparently, so the bond motion was filed prior to the information being filed, and the bond therefore gave a recitation of all of the counts with the bond amount. Subsequently, an information was filed adding a count. When that count was added at the arraignment, the bond was not addressed at arraignment for that new count. So therefore, I don't think any of us were aware that there was an outstanding account that didn't have a bond. And so, and it appears from the clerk notes that that's going to be, and I'm going to ask the clerk to correct me if I'm stating this incorrectly, but it looks like there's an additional count, and that additional count is count 4 that we need to address the bond for. The court had already set $250,000 on one of the counts. So he already has an extraordinarily high bond, because that's in addition to the other bond amounts, and I won't, they're already stated in the record. So therefore, counsel would respectfully ask for a $5,000 cash professional on that additional count.
Okay, and I'm looking at the first appearance, and I don't see an attempted, well, I see fleeing to elude Are there two different fleeings to elude? Because in count 4, as I see on the minute sheet for December 14th, count 4 is attempting to flee, elude, and then as I look at the first appearance paperwork, the second one on there is fleeing, elude police, and that was the no bond.
Right, but if you look, yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out what count really was added.
So if you look at the first appearance split, Your Honor,
Yes,
there's
ma'am.
only 8 counts.
I-
But if you look at the information, there's 9. If you look at the first appearance, there's only 1 fleeing eluding, but if you look at the information, there's actually 2.
Okay.
So the one that was set no bond was a resist officer aggravated fleeing elude with injury or property damage, and the one that was added was an attempt to flee elude, which is count 4.
Okay, good. Okay, Madam Clerk agrees with you, Ms. Cashwell. Okay.
I'm sorry, Your Honor?
Madam Clerk agrees with you, Ms. Cashwell. So,
Well, I want that in writing.
so to the state, the defense is asking for $5,000 cash or professional. What is the state's response?
I believe that just the gravity of that whole event was a lot more dangerous, and I believe would warrant a significantly higher than 5,000. So the state would ask for $100,000 on that one, cash or professional.
Okay, Ms. Cashwell, finally, anything else you have to say on the motion?
Your Honor, that would make his bond close to $400,000 and this is not a murder case. That $100,000, that's, the family will not be able to make that bond. That is an incredibly high bond, but of course, you know, we deferred it. Well, it's up to the court, but we would respectfully ask a much lower bond of $5,000.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Windgate, and what I say, I'm not trying to prompt you to say anything. I really don't want you to say anything because everything's being recorded. It can be used against you. There's no upside, but I want you to understand what I'm looking at. And what I highlighted in the addendum to the probable cause is defendant was seated in the driver's seat of the vehicle. The defendant disobeyed orders given by the officer and intentionally struck the officer with the vehicle. The defendant then fled the scene at high rate of speed, failed to stop for emergency lights and sirens, reckless manner, failing to stop for traffic signals, and failing to yield the right of way to other drivers, caused 3 traffic crashes with citizens. The defendant crashed into a tree. The defendant then fled the scene on foot. And then it talks about what was allegedly found in your vehicle. Based on all of that, I'm going to set your bond on count 4 at a $50,000 cash or professional. So if you
I'm sorry, Your Honor, what was that, 50,000?
Yes, ma'am. Cash or professional, if you post that, they'll let you out of jail with all the other bonds. If not, will I see Mr. Windgate on January 8th?
Yes, Your Honor, it's presently set for January 8th. We're in the process right now trying to finalize depositions.
Okay, as I said that, Madam Clerk says that we're really set for March 11th.
Oh, so it was already taken care of. Yes, Madam Clerk, correct.
Okay, so each of you have said the other one's correct. So we've got that on the record. I'm kidding, Ms. Cashman. So March 11th, I'll see you no later than March 11th, Mr. Windgate. Thank you, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms.
Have a
Cashwell.
good Christmas, and thank you again for the time, for the hearing time.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Cashwell. Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Okay, what case are we going to do next? You want to call it? Okay, thank you. Mr. Robinson's cases are 22 CF 1388, 23 CF 689. Mr. Robinson, do you wish for me to appoint, I'm looking at what the charges are. First off, does the state have an offer to Mr. Robinson? Hold on one second. Let's see what their offer is to you, Mr. Robinson, before anything. Then we'll go forward, okay? Number 2 on my document. Isaac Robinson.
Is Ricky did he drop me? I owed him like $4,000 still.
The document
remember-
showing no attorney.
Yeah, I'll call him when I can. I remember we had video court when I was in St. Louis. I was trying to get my brother's ashes.
Yes, sir.
And
Okay, hold on. Again, I don't want you to say anything that may hurt your case. Everything's being recorded and the state's behind you. Yes, sir.
It's going to be a DOC offer. He was going to want to enter it.
Okay. Mr. Robinson, do you wish for me to appoint the public defender if you qualify financially?
yes, what's a DOC offer?
Department of Corrections Prison is what
Oh.
the state's going to offer you.
Do you think I could add a year to my probation? Because I'm not an active drug user or anything like that. I've
Well,
never been in trouble, but
and- And I can't talk
just
the
been-
state, hold on one second. I can't talk the state, I can't make them offer you anything, no more than I can make you accept anything. So the state's, sounds like they're gonna make a prison offer. I'd suggest you get an attorney where that attorney can communicate with the state to try to work out a plea that you agree to. How much money do you make per month?
I do construction. I had a boss that owed me a lot of money. He paid my retainer for Ricky. And I was tired of some certain things. I used to have Miss Durham as a PO, and she knows a lot of my background. I got 8 siblings at home.
Okay, hold
I make
on.
a good amount
First
of
answer.
money, but I'm
Okay.
just, right now, I'm just struggling.
How long have you been, you said that you were in,
I had a
in jail?
30-day furlough. Oh, I've been in jail a total of like 3 months for the year.
okay. And so, how much money have you averaged making per month over the
Normally,
last
like,
5 months?
Normally $3,000 if I'm not in jail, $3 or $4,000 a month. Sometimes more. It really depends on what I was doing out there. I wasn't around a good work environment, and I left it. And when I had my 30-day furlough,
Okay,
I
again,
was
hold on, Mr. Robinson. I just need to get the money part down
like
to
3
see
or
if you
4
qualify.
grand.
Okay, and so you're probably not going to qualify for the public defender making that amount. If you want to fill out a financial affidavit for the public defender, you can at the jail. It costs you $50 for the application fee. I would suggest if you do that, load it up with all your expenses, because if the clerk
Yeah.
denies it, appeal it to the judge at the bottom. You can sign it and say, I appeal to the judge. We have more latitude than the clerk does.
Because right now I have nothing. I've got 8 younger siblings at home, and my brother had died.
Yes, sir.
I'm not an
And
active
you-
drug
and you've
user or
been
anything like
unemployed-
that.
Again, I don't want you to hurt your case. You've been unemployed for 3 months?
Yeah.
Okay.
And my sister's about to give birth. She might have already
Mr.
gave
Robinson,
birth.
hold
I'm
on.
not sure.
Hold on. And right now, your bond is what, or do you have a bond?
I had a signature bond, and I was hoping to get a signature bond
What
on
do you have
today.
now?
I have a signature bond and no bond. If
Okay.
I could get a
Okay,
signature
Mr. Robinson,
bond.
hold on. Based on you having no bond and based on you not having a job for the last 3 months, I
Well-
do appoint the public defender to represent you.
Thank you very much. And
Mr.
technically,
Koch,
when I
hold
was,
on. You have a tendency to talk.
sorry,
I just don't want you to hurt your case, okay?
when I was arrested, I was
Mr. Koch is to your left.
Yes, good morning, Judge.
Yes, sir, good morning.
Judge, we'll enter a denial for this
Okay.
violation of probation.
Okay, and how far out do you want to set the hearing? We've got, the first miscellaneous is January 11th.
Judge, can we get the January 11th date?
Okay,
Please.
yes, sir. January 11th at 9 o'clock. So, Mr. Robinson, I'll see you no later than that. I don't know if I've got any hearings at all between now and then. I don't think I do.
Could I ask a question? When I got
One
arrested,
second.
Talk to your attorney
I
first.
had a remodel I was doing with Miss Kathy, and that's where they came to get me. I was doing a full back remodel, et cetera.
We'll reset for January 11th.
Yes, sir.
Judge, thank you.
Mr. Robinson, I'll see you then.
Thank you.
Come see you in jail.
Thank you. Mr. Mr. Rogers' case is 22 CF 1692. Hello, Mr. Rogers. Doing well, how are you? Mr. Rogers, do you wish for me to appoint the public defender if you qualify financially?
Yes, sir.
How much money do you make per month?
Right now, I don't have a job.
Okay, how long have you been unemployed?
Like a month or two
And how much were you making per month before that?
per month. Like sometimes it varies from $1,000 to $1,200 a month.
Okay, I do appoint the public defender to represent you. Mr. Koch is approaching on your left.
Yes, Judge. We'll
Yes, sir.
enter a denial for this violation of probation. If we
Yes,
set this for that same January 11th date.
Okay. Mr. Rogers, I'll see you back here January 11th, okay? Mr. Koch will come see you in the jail. Thank you.
Mr. Koch?
Yes.
He also has an aggravated child abuse charge if you're not guilty to that and set that case with this case.
Okay, 23
Hold back.
It's up to you.
2688.
So do you want the VOP case, is that new case on January 8th?
It's set for, oh no, I'm looking- this is, you're talking about Mr. Rogers?
Yeah.
That case is set on 1/11. The plea day is 1/11 for that case that I just.
Okay, so we'll still see Mr. Rogers on January 11th. I'll see you then
Okay.
on both of your cases.
Mariah Rudolph?
Thank you. Mr. Rudolph's cases are 19 CF 1473, 19 CF 2646. Hello, Mr. Rudolph.
How you doing, sir?
Good, how are you?
Not so good.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rudolph, do you wish for me to appoint the public defender if you qualify financially?
Yes, sir.
How much money do you make per month?
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you.
How much money did you make a couple months ago? In November or
Probably like
October?
$1,300, $1,400.
Okay, I do appoint the public defender to represent you. Mr. Koch is approaching on your left.
That's how you doing?
Yes, Judge. We'll enter a denial, Your Honor. If we could keep this set for that 1/11
Okay.
date.
Mr. Rudolph, first off, it's impressive. I don't think I've ever seen a defendant shake hands with an attorney, a public defender, when they've been appointed. So that was impressive.
Yes, sir.
I'll see you back here on January 11th, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Kendall Schumacher?
Mr. Schumacher's case is 23 CF 1338. Hello, Mr. Schumacher. Does the state have an offer for Mr. Schumacher?
12.1 DOC, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Schumacher, do you wish for me to appoint the public defender if you qualify financially?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how much money do you make per month?
Right now, if I'm out on the street, 2,000 to 3,000. Right now.
Okay, how long have you been incarcerated?
Altogether, 17 days right now, but altogether I have, I think, 4 months.
Okay, so you've been in the last 4 months?
December 4th through the 17th, but then I have for
Okay.
June, July, and August.
How long have you been unemployed?
Probably about a month. I'm working on my LLC. My LLC got messed up.
Okay. Mr. Schumacher, I don't think I can appoint the public defender based on what you've just told me. If you'll fill out a financial affidavit, that costs you $50, but in there, if the clerk says you do not qualify for a public defender, there's a place at the bottom that you can appeal it to a judge, to the court, and we've got more latitude than the clerk does. So load it up with expenses, you know, give us the sales pitch that says why you should qualify for the public defender. Okay.
So,
Right now, I can't appoint one, so I'll set your hearing for January 11th, which is the next date I have a hearing. Fill out that paperwork. If you don't qualify for the public defender, then you'll have to hire a private attorney, or you'll be representing yourself, okay?
There's no possible way to maybe work something out with the state today?
The state just offered 12.1 months in
Can
prison.
I counter that at 9 with the lack of criminal history?
No, sir, I can't make them offer you something. So fill out that paperwork, and hopefully you'll qualify.
All right. Yes,
Thank you, sir. January 11th. Thank you.
Next person is Maria Rodriguez Barnes with
Thank you.
Attorney.
Thank you.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Jason McKinney for Maria Rodriguez Barnes, who is standing to my left in 20 CF 801. And Judge, she is on today's docket because I'd filed a motion to continue. She is on the January 8th pretrial docket.
Okay, is she on the docket for this morning?
She is. She was an add-on.
Okay, good. Let's see if Donna's. Thank you. You're right. Okay, thank you. Yes, good. Thank you, sir.
Judge, she is on the January 8th pretrial docket. In anticipation of that docket being a big docket and the inmates appearing via Zoom, I went ahead and filed the motion to continue in her case.
Yes, sir.
Especially given the holiday and that we're going to have a brief few working days before we get to pretrial. I wanted to bring to light that there's still additional work that needs to be done in her case. And I believe we were trying to fit a roadmap to get this thing to trial at the beginning of the year. We've hit some snags related to the medical examiner who passed away. The medical examiner's office has since gotten an additional medical examiner to do work on the case. I need an opportunity to depose that individual, given that we've only got a few working days before pretrial, given that even if I did that today, I would need time to get transcripts, I would need time to discuss that with my client. That could affect trial strategy. That is an expert witness. That's the long way for me to say, Judge, I'm ringing the bell now saying we're not going to be ready when we get to pretrial. And I did not want the state sending subpoenas, the court setting aside extra time on the docket for this case, because when this case goes to trial, it will be an extensive, probably week-long case with a number of witnesses from the state, possibly from the defense.
Any objection to the motion for continuance from the state?
Based on the nature and age of this case, Your Honor, the state does object. The medical examiner in question, Dr. Gallagher, passed away in November. Dr. Oleski has taken over the case, but the medical examiner's testimony is not what's a great issue in this case. I mean, of course, the defense is free to depose her and make that decision on that defense for themselves, but it's the state's opinion that we can get Dr. Oleski to the defense quickly and assist them in getting that deposition transcribed. Dr. Oleski is going out on medical leave from March to the beginning of May, so she will be unavailable for the next trial cycle. That will push this case into late spring, early summer, and the state's ready to proceed.
Okay. And in your motion, Mr. McKinney, you said because additional depositions are needed. Is the doctor the only deposition you need?
Judge, we have been going through with a fine-tooth comb trying to make sure that we have deposed everybody in this case. We just did a round of depositions. That is the primary critical witness that is left. Do I anticipate that if we had additional time that we would do an additional deposition date? Yes, I do. But as far as critical witnesses that I know would be called at trial by the state, that is the primary witness that is left.
Any way to depose the doctor before the pretrial?
I hesitate to say yes, and even if I depose the doctor today, we need time to evaluate what we learned from that deposition, discuss that with my client, and prepare. A lot of times it's not what is the medical examiner going to say, but how they say it. They can have a significant tone in a murder case like this, given that this is a serious case, given that there is no offer from the state. And given that I know that this is going to be a trial case, I'm not inclined to raise my hand and say I'm ready until I am.
Ms. Rodriguez-Barnes, do you agree to the motion for continuance?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand what Mr. McKinney's doing on your case?
Yes, sir.
I do grant the motion for continuance, so I'll see you back here on March 11th, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
And Your Honor, that concludes my business report. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Your Honor, this is Mr. Metz.
No, Mr. Metz.
Could we pass Mr. Metz to the afternoon docket? The reason why is because we have an agreement to resolve this particular VOP. However, the basis for the VOP is 2 misdemeanors that ideally we would be able to all wrap up into one plea agreement today. I need to talk to Mr. Gomez about that, so if we could pass Mr. Metz over to the afternoon docket.
Okay. Mr. Metz, I'll see you at 2:30 this afternoon.
All right?
Thank you, sir.
I'll talk to you before you come back out, okay?
Thank you.
That's John Barnes back here. Your Honor, this is Heather Moore. I was just explaining to Ms. Moore, I talked to John Barnes this morning. Last week I had sent him a proposed conditional release plan for Ms. Moore. And talking to Mr. Barnes this morning, he is going to have to forward that to Bridgeway, clean up some last minute details on that. I talked to Mr. Gomez this morning, and I believe the state would be in a position to agree to reduce Ms. Moore's bond to a signature bond while we get the conditional release plan squared away. Mr. Barnes anticipates having that done by hopefully the first week of the year. So if the court would grant the reduction to a signature bond for Ms. Moore with an added stipulation that until she's on the conditional release plan, she has to be subject to weekly in-person reporting with pretrial services. I mean, I'd be okay with that, and I think Ms. Moore would be fine with that. I don't know if pretrial services would be all that keen on having to monitor somebody for maybe 2 weeks. But that's the situation, is we just need to get this conditional release plan done, and until that's done, the state would be okay with Ms. Moore being out on a signature bond, signature bond.
Mr. Gomez?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Ms. Moore, your motion is granted, and so you'll be released today on a signature bond with the condition that you report weekly to pretrial services in person, okay? You know, I hesitate. Just make sure you've got to follow all the rules, do what pretrial tells you between now and then. You know, if everything goes well, it sounds like that a conditional release plan will come together, and that'll be what the court will implement. If something goes wrong between now and when I enter that plan, that may be thrown out the window. So it really means a lot what happens over the next couple of weeks with you. Okay.
Thank you.
And Heather, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the pretrial services phone number. I'm going to write it on this card, and I'm going to pass the card back to you through one of the bailiffs.
Okay.
Okay.
So
You're going to call Mr. Barnes Wednesday. Okay.
yes.
If we can also make it very clear that she is not to have contact with any of the victims in this case.
Yes, and that is completely acceptable with Ms. Moore, to have no contact at all with any of the alleged victims in this case.
Ms. Moore, that means a lot too to the court. If you violate in any way between now and when I see you again, it really changes the outlook on the case.
Yes.
Okay, so that's pretrial services.
Okay.
Call them today,
Okay.
okay? Call Mr. Barnes first thing next Wednesday morning,
Okay.
okay? And then we should be good to go,
Okay.
okay?
When am I going to see Ms. Moore next?
Your Honor, if we could put Ms. Moore on the January 11th docket for status date.
Ms. Moore, I'll see you on January 11th at 9 o'clock, okay?
So they'll release me.
They should release you today.
And then I call.
And then you call pretrial services,
Okay.
and then Mr. Barnes next Wednesday,
Okay.
okay?
And then see
Thank you, ma'am.
And then
Okay.
January 11th, back here. Yep, let me write that
you.
down.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Barnes, thank you so much for being here, and thanks for your service. It is something that no one else has been able to
Have a good
do.
Christmas, okay?
Thank you. Merry Christmas, sir. Thank you, Ms. Barr.
Samuel Olmsted is next.
Your Honor, this is Mr. Olmsted. He is present and approaching. I talked to Mr. Gomez this morning. I believe the state's going to be seeking a DOC sentence here. Today, we will enter a denial and ask that this be set without subpoenas on a date in January, whatever date's easier for the court.
Well, it depends on you. January 11th, January 18th?
I would prefer the 11th.
Okay. So, Mr. Olmsted, I'll see you January 11th in the morning, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I'll come see you before that, okay? All right. Yep. Have a good Christmas, okay?
Gage Pritchard is next from Mr. Cox.
Thank you. Hello, Mr. Pritchard.
Judge, may I just have one
Yes,
brief
sir. Sir?
That's what I Yes, thank you, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Judge, we'll be entering a denial for the VOP if we get that set for the 11th. There's also a new law in your courtroom. I'm appointed already, and that's the 23 CF 2718. No info has been filed on that case, Your Honor, but I spoke with the state, and my client will be observing drug court because down the line that might be a high probability of an offer. So we'll enter a not guilty if we can to that new law. We'll keep them together.
Okay. And information has been filed?
Has not.
Okay.
Oh, it is? Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Pritchard, I'll see you on both of your cases on January 11th. Thank you, sir.
I'll talk to you.
Rena Rosales is next.
Hello, Ms. Rosales.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Thank you.
Good.
Good morning.
Your Honor, we'll enter denial if we can have this set for that 111.
Okay.
Please.
Ms. Rosales, I'll see you on January 11th.
Can I ask a question?
What, talk to your attorney first away from the mic before you do it.
We'll clear it up. But we'll come back. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to,
No,
I
ma'am.
didn't
No,
mean to
not a bit.
disturb y'all. We're done?
Yes, ma'am.
He's
Thank
awesome, thank you, and so are you. God bless y'all.
Thank you.
Justin Smith.
Oh, Mr. Smith.
Yes, Judge. Judge, we'll be entering a denial, and if we can have this set for that 111 date as well.
Okay. Has the state made an offer to Mr. Smith?
It's 12.1 Department of Corrections, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Smith, I'll see you back here on January 11th, okay? Thank you, sir.
Joseph Hallcroft of Mr.
Judge, this is Mr. Holcroft in 21 CF 2063.
Good, how are you?
And Judge, we're trying to resolve this matter and a misdemeanor that is not on this docket. So I'd like to call him back to be called at the end of this morning's docket.
Okay, it may not be far down the road.
That's fine, Judge. I only need a minute with Mr. Snell to see if we can nail down terms.
Mr. Hallcroft, I'll see you later this morning.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
And Judge, Ms. Tidwell is before the court on the 9 o'clock docket. Ms. Davis had asked the court to hear this case at 2:30 today because she is the state attorney, and I believe the court had been inclined to allow that.
Okay.
So if we could pull her back at 2:30.
Ms. Tidwell, I'll see you this afternoon, okay?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Charlie Rose.
Judge, this is Mr. Rhodes. Mr. Rhodes is here on a lot of case numbers, and we had set today over as a status to see if we can make any progress on
Right, I think we were talking about seeing if the state could whittle down some of the cases after talking to the alleged victims, right?
correct, and I know that Mr. Snell has been working on that. I don't want to speak for the state, so I'll allow Mr. Snell.
Yes, I was hopeful that this sentence was gonna include everything on there. Some, not all. So I'm gonna get with Mr. McKinney and figure out which ones have already been accounted for and dismiss those counts on ours. We're in the process. I can't tell you the exact status of which ones are coming off at this moment, but
And Judge, I provided Mr. Snell a work product spreadsheet that I put together, so that in hopes that we can put our heads together and figure out where we're going here, so Mr. Rhodes isn't continuing just to sit here without an answer.
Right. Okay, so,
He's scheduled on 1/8 for a pretrial.
okay. Mr. Rhodes, I'll see you on January 8th. The only thing I can make both of the parties do is go to trial. Can't make the state offer you anything, can't make you accept anything. So I understand not a lot was accomplished this week. I was hoping we'd come today and at least address some of the cases and know if the restitution was paid. So I'll see you on January 8th. We'll be marching toward trial if it's not resolved.
It was ambitious for me to say hopefully I could get it done in 2 days, but it's too much volume, Your Honor. So
I was just looking for any dismissals of any of the cases. Thank you.
I'm going to continue working towards it.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Want to do the 1:30?
Martin, you put the 1:30.
25. Yeah, so, Your Honor, I was going through, at least for the ones that are on my side of the docket, there's two of the cases, I'm sorry, that I was intending on getting information filed. I was unaware that there was not one filed. I was intending on getting them filed this morning so that hopefully they appeared for the 1:30 docket. There are some that we could call, like for example, I don't think Mr. Nugent is still in custody, correct? The state could dismiss that. That was a fugitive from justice, and to my knowledge, he was picked up from the jail by the county.
Okay, so you're dismissing Jeremy Nugent's 23 CF 2561.
Correct, Your Honor. And the same would go with Derek Smith, 23
So
CF.
that case is dismissed, Mr. Smith, okay?
Oh, is he?
Okay, you got him in the back? Good, thank you.
Martin, can you give me 26?
This is case number 23 CF 2593.
I don't know why I thought Mr. Smith had been released from jail, so
Okay, let's wait for him.
yeah, Miss Martin. Yeah, Miss Martin was admitted into drug court yesterday.
Super, excellent, thank you.
Deborah Smith, Judge.
Well, Mr. Smith,
How you doing, Your Honor?
I'm doing well, thank you. The state was,
Mr. Smith, have you by chance signed a waiver of extradition so you did sign it? Okay. It's been 30 days since he's been arrested. Did you sign that at first appearance? Do you
Yes, sir.
recall? Well, do you recall the county that it's out of?
Huh?
The county that the warrant is out of?
It's New Orleans.
Okay.
That's all I know.
Yeah, they're not gonna come. Okay, yeah, Your Honor, given that it's been 30 days, the state would announce a dismissal of this charge.
Okay? Mr. Smith, your case is dismissed, so they'll release you today.
But
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Smith, I just want to clarify, so for your knowledge, that doesn't mean that that warrant is not still.
Oh, no,
remaining.
that I'm getting taken care of
Okay.
immediately.
Okay,
So,
yeah, they just haven't, they have X amount of time to come and pick you up, and if they don't come and pick you up in that time, it's not fair to you for us just to hold you.
Yeah.
So that's why we're dismissing this at this time, but just be aware that
Oh,
that
I'm
still
aware.
is an
I
active
am
warrant, so.
keenly aware. I was working on it before I got picked up.
Okay. I just wanted to let you know so that you weren't confused, like, if something happened, like, oh, they dismissed this, like,
No.
not the actual warrant itself.
That would be a Christmas miracle, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you, sir.
Y'all be safe.
I just took care of Smith for you. That's fine, they just called him out. That, he was at FFJ, they haven't
Rachel,
signed it. when he was
without
arrested.
bringing them out, what other inmates do you have? And then we can figure out whether. That was Dustin.
Yes.
Okay. And Madam Clerk is saying that she,
So that is because that is getting transferred down to misdemeanor. That information
okay,
should
why
be.
why don't we bring out
Yeah.
Mr. Leopard?
I'll go into it.
Thank you.
Worst case scenario, this goes to county, such property 8 times for a situation.
Yeah, Scott, it seems like they got the bottle of wine back. And so given that, we would be okay with an adjudication of guilt to petty theft with credit for time served, which means that he would be released today.
Yes, sir.
So, Your Honor, Mr. Leopard has indicated he would accept the state's offer. I don't know if the court wants me to write up a plea
No,
agreement.
sir, that's fine.
Okay.
So it would, Mr. Leopard, it would be, you'd be adjudicated guilty of a misdemeanor. You'd have to pay the court costs. Madam Clerk, how much are the court costs? $270. You'd have to pay the $150 public defender's fee. I can give you some period of time to pay that. If you fail to pay it within that time period, then it goes to a civil lien or judgment, not criminal. Do you wish to enter that plea?
Yeah, those are just court costs, and what the judge is telling you is, if you wanted to ask for like 6 months to pay that court cost, and if you don't pay it, it's not a criminal offense. It's not like you can get thrown back in jail for not paying it.
Is that what you wish to do? Yes, sir. If you'll raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you, sir. You can put your hand down if you don't mind standing behind the lectern. Good. Mr. Leopard, do you understand that if I accept your plea that you're waiving your right to a trial by jury?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any questions about what the sentence will be?
No, sir.
Do you wish to enter that plea?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Leopard, I do accept your plea. You're adjudicated guilty of the misdemeanor. You'll need to pay the $270 in court costs, $150 public defender's fee. Is it $150 or is it less than that since it's a misdemeanor?
That's correct.
Good, thank you. Mr. Leopard, if you fail to pay those within 6 months from today, then they will go to a civil lien or judgment, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
What is it, Class B, Class C, Class A?
It's a first degree misdemeanor. Okay, so that's the most serious.
Madam Clerk, on McPherson. To the state on Mr. McPherson, the clerk says she doesn't have an information.
That's one of the ones, Your Honor, that I was gonna try to get filed to
Before
today,
1:30.
before the 1:30.
If the court wanted to bring Mr. McPherson out,
Yeah, given the charges, there's no chance that we're gonna come to an agreement.
That's correct, and I was gonna say,
Okay.
he can file the
Rachel, if we
information
can have
next
Mr.
week.
McPherson.
I'll make sure to provide a hard copy of that information to Mr. Klein's.
Hello, Mr. McPherson. Good, how are you?
So the state has a Your Honor, so I was just explaining to Mr. McPherson, we talked yesterday at the jail, and he and I talked about a potential bond motion. So I was explaining to him that I was gonna file the bond motion, see if we could get it on the January 11th docket. But Mr. Gomez is correct, the nature of these charges, there's no easy disposition in sight.
Okay. So, Madam Clerk, as far as the afternoon of January 11th, that would be 2:30. How many hearings do we have? Is that the one that was 7? Okay, good. So, do you want the pretrial to be on January 11th?
It's already scheduled for March 11th,
Oh, okay.
actually. That was one of the reasons why it's
Good.
not on the January 8th docket anyway. That's what I have, okay.
So, Mr. McPherson, I'll see you back here on January 11th at 2:30, and then we'll have the bond hearing. Okay? Thank you, sir.
All right, man, I'll see you then, okay?
Once I have it to meet and run for the laundry.
Oh, good. Okay.
Unless, is there an information on this one?
She's got it.
Yeah, we're
Yes.
good.
Thank you. Morning.
Judge,
Sir.
23 CF 2514.
Could you tell your defense counsel to be here at 1:30?
Judge,
Yes, sir.
we entered a not guilty, and if we keep this set, it's already set for the 1/8 pretrial, Your Honor.
Okay. It says that Mr. Runyon, 2 of the charges are by a juvenile. Mr. Runyon's a juvenile?
No, Judge.
Battery by juvenile and health service personnel. I thought, Mr. Runyon, you're the biggest minor I've seen.
Yeah, definitely not a juvenile, Judge, I guess, state.
Okay, you may want to look at those charges.
Okay.
So, Mr. Runyon, I'll see you on January 8th, okay?
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. You're welcome.
Ready to call Joseph Hallcroft back, Judge, for this meeting?
All right, good luck, okay?
Do you have any questions? Judge, this is Mr. Joseph Hallcraft back before the court. We do have an agreement. Madam Clerk, this does include a case that is not on the docket, and that is a misdemeanor case, 22 MM1015, and we would stipulate to this court's jurisdiction to handle the misdemeanor. This would be an admission to a violation of probation for the felony case and an admission to a violation of probation to the misdemeanor case. Today's 12/23. And I did discuss both with Mr. Holcroft at the jail yesterday. The agreement with the state is for an adjudication of guilt. He's previously been adjudicated in the felony case, reinstatement of the probation. It's going to modify the drug offender probation with a standard curfew and extend 6 months. We're going to add 24 hours community service work and random urinalysis, in addition to completing all the original requirements in 21 CF 2063. That would include a $100 VOP fee and a $150 cost of defense. In the misdemeanor case, the agreement is for an adjudication of guilt, 30 days in the Okaloosa County Jail with credit for time served, revoke and terminate the probation in 22 MM1015. And we would ask that Mr. Hallcroft be allowed to pay off the outstanding financial amounts, which I believe are $107 or around there, in that case, over 6 months before they go to collections.
Okay, what about the cost of prosecution and the PD's fee and the misdemeanor?
Judge, I didn't write it in because I didn't want to get it wrong, so I'll defer to Madam Clerk what the costs are for a misdemeanor.
For misdemeanor, it's a $50 VOP fee, $50 prosecution fee, and $50 fee.
And Judge, so that would be imposed, and we would ask that he also be allowed the 6 months to pay off those amounts before they go to collections.
Okay.
May I approach with the plea agreement?
Yes, sir. Mr. Hallcroft, if you'll raise your right hand.
Yes, sir.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. You can put your hand down. Okay, so that I understand and I make sure that Mr. Hallcroft understands.
Sir.
So then next, how long is he going to be on drug offender probation?
The intention is for the duration, so it's going to be extended 12 months, and he's going to be on drug...
Extended 6 months.
Oh, he's going to be extended 6 months, so
And
we'll
the
have a
whole-
total
all
of...
All of his supervision will be drug offender.
Correct.
Okay.
And his termination date is in July right now, so I've just,
Yes.
that would be extended out to 6 months,
Yes.
so we'll be looking at the end of the year next
Okay.
year.
Good, Mr. Hallcroft, because I wanted to make sure that wasn't ambiguous,
Yes,
because
sir.
I didn't understand.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hallcroft, did you read the plea agreement?
I did.
Do you understand it?
I do.
Did you discuss it with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
Did he answer all of your questions?
You did?
Are you satisfied with his representation?
I am.
Did you sign the plea agreement?
Yes, I did.
Mr. Hallcroft, I do accept your plea.
Yes, sir.
On the misdemeanor case, you're adjudicated guilty. You're sentenced to 30 days in the Okaloosa County Jail
Yes, sir.
with credit for time served. Your prior supervision is revoked and terminated. You'll need to pay the $3 $50 fees that Madam Clerk stated. If you fail to pay all of the financials in the misdemeanor case within 6 months from today, then they will go to a civil lien or judgment.
Yes, sir.
In the felony case, you're adjudicated guilty. Your current supervision is reinstated, meaning that all the original terms and conditions are reinstated, and it's modified to be extended. Supervision is extended for an additional 6 months. All of your supervision will be on drug offender probation. You'll need to submit to random urinalysis.
Yes, sir.
Have no drugs without a valid prescription during your supervision.
Yes, sir.
Perform 24 hours of community service work. Pay the $100 cost of prosecution and the $150 public defender's fee.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Hallcroft. Yes,
Judge, I
probation.
believe if we didn't announce, then he would need to complete original requirements as well in 21 CF 2063.
All of the original terms and conditions are reimposed.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, this is being placed on bond, will there be a curfew
Yes, ma'am.
from when to when?
Standard.
7.
7? And is he transferring back to Gainesville?
Go back to Gainesville? Yes.
I mean, you need to report to our office in Fort Walton Beach before you transfer.
Yes.
Okay. So 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. curfew. Does he needs to report today before 5 if he's released?
Or at 5 o'clock.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Do not return to Gainesville.
Right, right.
Good.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Mr. Hallcroft.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, probation. Merry Christmas. Okay. Okay, so then we just have the, what's remaining for the 130. Think about on the 230 docket, if you want to do those sooner, because I suspect we'll be finished with the 130 docket well before 2:30.
I messaged Mr. Lapella, who's the opposing counsel on the motion that I have, and just said we'll probably be done around 1:45. If you can come early, we could potentially squeeze in before 2:30 just to notify them. I haven't got any response, but just
Okay. So any of the cases that, as far as inmates, not inmates, anybody that we can do before that, the court's ready. If we can't do it until 2:30, then we'll do it then.
We'll try to get Mr. Metz ready right at 1:30.
Okay,
So,
sounds good. Anything else before we take a break?
I don't believe so, Judge. I think in my hearing, the attorney's flying in, so I don't think I have to be moved, so.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.